So Frank, we've talked a lot about Warrior Call Day. Why is this so important to you?
Paul, this is a mission that I was given by my son. Um, I personally came out of the Navy SEAL community, and a number of years later, following 9/11, he was one of those great Americans that stepped up on the line, raised his hand to go forward to defend us after that horrible, day that we experienced as a nation. And he, as a Navy SEAL, saw a lot of combat, and subsequently, was challenged by the invisible wounds that we hear so much about now. The post-traumatic stress disorder, the moral injury that isn't talked about very much, substance use disorder, because they're all in some form of pain. And then what we're finding out is a lot of this is very often complicated by traumatic brain injury. Well, my son, despite every effort to try to help him through these tough times, took his life in 2017. He loved being a Navy SEAL. I found him. He was dressed in his SEAL Team 7 T-shirt. I was wearing red, white, and blue board shorts, and had illuminated a shadow box next to him with all his medals, ribbons, and insignias. And he said to me, he said, "Dad, I'm broken up inside." And to look at him, he looked like a gladiator. He looked normal, but he says, I'm just broken up inside. I don't think I'm going to live, a long life." And he says, "If anything happens to me, please, donate my body for traumatic brain injury research, breacher syndrome research." He was an explosives breacher, a SEAL sniper, and also a combat medic, and good at all those tasks. And what we found out in the end is that, despite all the efforts to try to, diagnose what he had, and all the prescriptions that he received over the 2 years that we tried to save him, they found out that he had an undiagnosed microscopic brain injury uniquely related to blast exposure from firing the heavy weapons, from the rockets, the mortars, being exposed to improvised explosive devices. So as a result, we are leaning into peeling this onion and unraveling this Gordian knot around the invisible wounds, and focusing in on the traumatic brain injury, where right now we're largely handicapped because we don't have the diagnostics to see it in a living person, not unlike what you hear about with the CTE in our professional sports players. But we're getting there, and we're trying to leverage Congress to help us. And part of the National Warrior Call Day, which is set for November 12th of this year, following Veterans Day, is really to call attention to these issues on behalf of our veterans, on behalf of our first responders, and hopefully it influence and increase the level of importance for the research that needs to occur to understand what's going on here. And I'm afraid that we may have hundreds of thousands of men and women who have stepped up on the line to serve us, go into harm's way, and by virtue of that have come home burdened with some of these invisible wounds, let alone the visible wounds which you see on many of our veterans.
I'm sure when others hear this, they're going to feel like I do, which is, how can I help? What should I do?
Well, first of all, just go to our website. It's warriorcall.org, and we will lay out some options and provide background. But this effort is, we're partnering with over 50 nonprofits and veteran service organizations on this. The American Legion with their Buddy Check. We have all the former secretaries of the VA that have endorsed this National Warrior Call Day. We also have over 27 Medal of Honor recipients that have said, "Hey, this is the right thing to do," let alone other agencies and many in the service saying this is too easy to do. To make a call, take a call, have an honest conversation with somebody that served in uniform, and let them know how much you appreciate what they've done. And just, simply having that conversation can be a tremendous, over the phone therapy for somebody that may be struggling.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paul.